Well, Phil, we made it for the 17th time. Not always, sometimes we have some trouble on the technology side of things, but we got it figured out and we're on. And I'm super excited about this episode. We've been rapping back and forth for the last 5 or 6 weeks, just you and I. And some of my favorite episodes are when we have incredible guests on the show. And that's exactly what we have today. And so I'd like to introduce you, Phil. You haven't met him in person, but Eric Salgado is joining us today, the owner of Firehouse Pest Control, an incredible business, an incredible human being. I've known, Eric, we're going on, a year and a half we've known each other. We collaborate together and do business together. So I thought you'd be an incredible guest to have on. I remember when I asked you and I was like, dude, I don't know if you know I host a podcast or not. I don't know if you care or not, but your story needs to be told and people need to hear from you. So would you be open to hopping on? And you're like, hell yeah, let's do it. So thanks for hopping on, man. Appreciate you. How's everything going so far?
Good, man. First of all, thank you guys for having me on your guys' podcast. I have listened to a few episodes. Love your guys' content. Love what you guys are putting out there, highlighting, different entrepreneurs and leaders within our community. So thank you guys for what you guys do. I'm really looking forward to our time today, and hopefully I can, just give some insight and some knowledge here.
Absolutely. We're excited to have you on. I'm excited just to meet you and learn more about you. From what Steven told me, it's going to be an awesome episode. And when we get started with these, we usually like to begin the conversations just getting a little backstory where the early stages of life begin. And that kind of frames up for a nice flow of conversation.
Awesome. Absolutely. Yeah. So born and raised right here in Arizona. And growing up, had a kind of a small little family. Was predominantly raised by a single mother. Growing up, it was me and my younger brother and my younger sister. And I was the oldest. My mom worked, 50, 60 hours a week. So I was 100% a latchkey kid. Like I know a few of your other guests have mentioned. Definitely grew up just being outside, playing sports. I was very fortunate enough to have met and known my grandfather, who was a World War II veteran in the Pacific Theater, and just kind of a very stoic individual. He's since passed, but he had a good impact on my life, and wanted me from that, I wanted to, similarly to him, I wanted to serve my community, which ultimately led me to finding the fire department. 22 years old, I slept out on the ground of Tempe Diablo Stadium just to get an application to.
No way.
Yeah. That was back when nobody was really hiring. Shortly after the downturn of the the Great Recession, the downturn of the economy, and fire department jobs were just few and far between. So just to get an application, which they had a cutoff on how many people they would apply or have allowed to be applied.
Yeah.
You had to basically sleep out on the ground the night before, just so that way when the application process, you were just able to get an app.
Dude, that's dedication. It's almost like the pre-test to the test. It's like who's committed enough and dedicated enough to want to be here. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember hearing some stories back at that time. Was Guadalupe one of the most sought after areas and fire departments that was really hard to get in? I remember another young man telling me the story. This is years ago, obviously, but I remember Guadalupe being one of the most difficult to get in, even though it was really difficult across the valley.
Yeah, that department in particular, they had reserve. So at that time, nobody was really hiring. So in order to get experience, you went to kind of the smaller departments, which is I did the same thing. But Guadalupe would hire part-time guys. So just to get a part-time job, you had to, frickin' beat an old lady with a stick, so to speak, just to get a job, especially back then. So that way you could get some experience. So that way when the bigger departments like Phoenix or Mesa or Chandler, or whatever, when those departments came open, you kind of could point to, some on-the-job training.
So what drew you to the fire department? Obviously you grew up playing sports. You're an active kid. You're a big guy. You've got, a lot of strength and, probably felt confident that you were going to get there. But why did you want to start there? What, instead of first responder in the police force or wherever else?
Yeah, no. So that story, I was. It's a good story. I was playing basketball at the time at the local church that I played at, and unfortunately, I one of my friends just kind of fell and collapsed, and I had a CPR card at the time, and I checked, and he didn't have a pulse. So I started.
What?
Yeah, he was a stud kid, 19 years old, and I was blown away. He just fell over, and it ended up being that he had just an enlarged heart and just kind of a congenital issue thing. And the fire department showed up. They did everything they could to resuscitate him, and unfortunately, he did not make it. And I went.
No way.
It was very, very tragic. Just a very good kid, friend of mine. And I went to the fire department a couple of days later when those guys were on shift, and I wanted to, thank them for their efforts and everything like that. And they took me in. They sat at that dinner table for hours talking to me about what the job was like, just helping coaching me through, my friend's passing, everything. And I just remember leaving that fire station that night thinking, thinking about my grandfather, World War II veteran, loved, his country and his community. And I was like, okay, I'm really tied to, or this really has me hooked in, and I would love to follow in their footsteps and pursue a career in the fire service.
For sure. Dude, that just gave me the chills. Man, sorry about your friend. That's you guys were playing hoops, and then all of a sudden just random tragic accident. That's a pivotal moment, man.
For
like
sure.
You can have good ones, you can have bad ones, and they change the trajectory of your life. And this was one that definitely hit hard. Wow.
Yeah. And it was pursuing that kind of, it was a way to kind of honor him as well, and kind of give me a sense of purpose, which made sleeping out on the ground outside Timmy Diablo Stadium just to get an application not so bad after all.
So obviously the camp out was successful in regard to getting your application in. I guess take us from there. What were the next steps?
Yeah. So eventually, went through the whole process, was very fortunate to be successful with that, was hired, went through full-time fire academy, doing the job, learning it as I go, loving it. And then early on in my career, in a house fire, I really tore up my right shoulder. And I ended up having to get shoulder surgery. And then by just sheer bad luck, through just wear and tear, I ended up having, like a year later, having to get shoulder surgery on my other shoulder. So here I am pretty early on in my career.
Jeez.
Never really had any injuries like that in my entire life. Now I've got, a couple surgeries in early on in my career. I'm like, well, what if I can't do this job in like 5, 10, 15, 20 years? What does that look like? Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of the genesis of eventually starting the pest control company and going from there.
I mean, just in the last year, I've seen you were in a boot not too long ago. You're just like prone to injury, man. Like you had an Achilles, and like what the heck is going on?
Man, just falling apart, man.
Yeah, you got
show, no go.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. You said like at that time you're kind of like already. I mean, how old were you when this was going on? We had the shoulder surgeries.
25 years old. Yeah.
So you're already starting to think about what the rest of your life looks like at 25. I know for sure I was not even close to thinking about, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just partying it up and, everything will work out the way it's supposed to. But you're like way ahead of the game than most 25-year-olds. And I'm sure being a first responder and in that world, like you can't, mess around, right? Like everything's pretty strict, almost military driven. But you're already starting to think about what the rest of your life looks like. And you made that conscious decision to go start a business. And you did this with, it's your brother-in-law, Colton?
So at the time.
Yeah. So you got a family business.
Yeah, that was dumb. They're not a great, he's not a great business partner.
Don't send him this episode. I won't tell him either.
No, he's a fantastic, I got just lucky, but not recommended. So many things could have gone wrong. Luckily, very fortunately, it's gone very, very, very well. But, for any listeners out there, that typically it doesn't go well.
Hopefully you like your brother-in-law.
Yes. Hopefully, yeah. Right. Hopefully you like your brother-in-law.
A little bit of risk. A lot of eggs in one basket.
Yeah. Christmas is a little different these days.
That was, So at the time, recovering from my surgery, and I'm like, dude, I gotta do something here just in case, right? And at the time, this was the requirement. This is how I came up with my decision. This is why this should have failed horrifically. But I had a truck. My brother-in-law, who was 19 at the time, he had a truck, and I was like, hey, dude, why don't we start our own pest control company? Like, how hard could that be, right? And it's like the dumbest idea ever, because we had no experience, had no money. All we had was a truck. And I didn't even have a full functioning arm. So literally, I knocked on the doors with my shoulder sling, and then he would do the spraying. And dude, we looked like a nonprofit. Like, it was so sad. I think the first however many customers were just pure pity. But a lot of them are
charity.
Charity. But hey, a lot of them are still with us.
Got to start somewhere.
So we started that.
Hey, that's awesome.
We started doing that. And what we noticed, and I know I've mentioned it to you before, but what I noticed was when we were knocking on these doors, and I'm not a salesman at all, so I probably didn't do anything right in that arena. But when I was talking to people, they were like, hey, I don't know who my pest control company is, or when they show up, or how often, or how much they charge, or what product they're putting down. I just know I'm in a contract, or whatever the thing is. But I in a couple months reach back out. I'd love to have you guys as my pest control provider. So what I realized, I felt like there's a lot of just kind of seems shady a little bit to me, some of the practices. So taking what I had learned from the fire department and, integrity and transparency and community and everything, how could I take what I learned over there and implement it into our business, which is where we came up with our model, which is on every one of our trucks and all over in our offices, is the pest control company with integrity.
Yeah, and that rings through and through. I know I've heard that a million times, but it's not just a saying. I mean, you guys really show it. But it's just so funny to me how you're like, let's do pest control. Like, why not pool or HVAC or, plumbing or something, right? Like, let's pick bugs and maybe we'll be good at that. And it's just like, you don't know. And that's a great reminder, is you never know what, you're not prepared for it. You just take the action and learn as you go. And it just seemed like there was an opening for you guys in the industry to really change the game and bring a higher level of service and treat people the right way. And I've seen that firsthand through and through. You guys have been able to accomplish that. So kudos to you.
I appreciate that. I always say, I just, boy, you're probably gonna have to edit this out because I'm really fucking this up. But
we're not editing it out at all.
What I was trying to say was that our biggest strength was we were just naive and ignorant to it, and willing. The only positive strength I could give ourselves is we were humble enough to at least reach out, and we were very fortunate to have great mentors and people to kind of help guide us through the way. That would be, the one good thing I think we were able to bring to the table.
I find it super interesting, and I have a number of questions, because pest control there is a heat wave and a boom, to say the least, from a private equity perspective. This year, it's been top of mind, just the nature of my business, with companies that are, looking to make exits, et cetera. But when you brought up the sales portion, I actually love door-to-door salespeople when it's done properly, and I've seen both sides of it a number of times. Love the process. And there's one large provider in the Valley. We won't throw them under the bus because it wasn't bad, but to your point, it wasn't extremely hands-on. I felt like a cog in the wheel. Took a gentleman that was just starting up, sounds like similar to yourself, the way he approached the door, the way he brought up someone else down the street that was using the previous provider, put up a pricing package, and to your point, communicates pre and post every time. I was so glad to give them a shot in this exact industry. Feels like you felt the same thing. It's the only way to change the game is really giving exceptional service, and sounds like communication around transparency in the pest control process. So I'd love for you to expand on that and how you adjusted once you got out of the arm sling and approached your kind of value offer to these potential clients.
Yeah. So with the sales, I think ironically what helped is that I am not a salesperson at all. Don't claim to be, not good at it. And just having that approach, at least early on, we've moved past the doors into different types of marketing strategies and everything. But at the time, just being very humble and transparent, letting them know, that, hey, we're in the neighborhood. This is what some of the other neighbors are seeing. I don't know if we could be of any help. I don't know if you have the same issues, but we're happy to oblige and have you guys try out our services. But ultimately, the biggest thing was just the communication aspect of it. So we built in that the customer's going to get a text the day before, the text the day of, an exact ETA arrival when they're on their way, a exact to the minute, like check-in time, and exact to the minute check-out time with the GPS tracker on their truck, so they actually know that they're outside of their house and stuff, because we have like a lot of snowbird clients and everything else. Upon signing up with our services, we send them a handwritten note with some brownies or some cookies, typically. Just letting them know that from our family to yours, we're very appreciative of you guys, choosing us as your pest provider. We don't take it lightly. We have a concierge line that they can reach out, text, call, send photos. There's somebody manning that, 24/7 with responses back to that. Being transparent in the products that we use, giving free services in between, and we have a 96-hour or less callback, where if they're having any issues in between their services, we'll be back out within 96 hours or less for free. Just trying to be just that good, wholesome, family-owned, honest, pest control company. Also, part of that is, being involved in the community. Partial proceeds of every service goes to the 100 Club, which is a first responder foundation and a charity that does a lot of work in the Valley. Personally, in 2023, I was diagnosed with occupational cancer, and the 100 Club definitely helped out a lot of my family for those treatments and a lot of other things. So it's a fantastic foundation that we love to partner with, and just a lot of different organizations and stuff that we like to partner, raise money for, and just being involved in the community as a whole. So really trying to incorporate all those things into our business model.
Yeah, you've definitely got your systems and processes and customer service and everything dialed in. You can tell from the growth and everything that your team talks about you and being such a solid leader. But I wanted to go back. You mentioned occupational cancer, and you just recently celebrated 2 years cancer free. And you're, obviously when this happened, this was like right in the middle of the grind phase of getting your business off the ground. You're four years in or so. Talk to us about that, man. Like, what was life like? You've got your family, you've got your business, you got the unknown of what's possible. How did you get through that?
Going back to your comment about just being injury prone.
Yeah.
I guess this doesn't help my case.
You've had a bad run there, bad run of luck. Yeah. I think you're due to be cleared for the next 17 years.
Tough as nails.
Yeah. So back in 2023, the fire department that I was working for was given a special grant that allowed for free firefighter cancer screening. So it was like a head-to-toe MRI exam. Anybody with 5 years on or more could get this particular scan, because not a lot of people know this, but the number one killer amongst firefighters as a whole is actually cancer.
Did not know that.
It's plagued a lot of our guys, and it's not just like in older when you get to, a certain age, it's young guys, it's guys with just a handful of years on, guys and gals with, 10 years on, like I was at that point, just kind of all over the place. And these very rare, unique cancers that you just wouldn't normally see in the general public, like the one I had is just such a rare, unique cancer, but for whatever reason, lots of firefighters are getting it. And people always ask, well, what is it? And it's just really a multifaceted, kind of problem where there's the gear, there's potentials with the gear, with the flame retardant and what's in there. There's a lot of the foams that we use to suppress like vapors. It's the lack of sleep. It's the plastics, burning plastics and asbestos and just the things that you're exposed to. Just kind of all together make for just a high link and likelihood to cancer. So much so that they were giving grants to different departments for early detection and screenings, which the irony about that is I didn't, as dumb as it sounds, like, I don't think I need that. I think I'll be fine. I feel great. And they called me and said, hey, come on down. We'd love to have you, blah, blah, blah. I got an appointment for you. I was like, kind of like, all right, I guess.
Totally, dude. Like, more power to you for going. Like, most guys are like, oh, I'm good, man. I'm good. Feeling fine.
I felt fine. I just had a yearly physical. I had a really good physical, and I was like, okay, well, I don't know, I think I'm fine. But lo and behold, they found out that I had kidney cancer. But they caught it very, very early for me, and I'll never forget that phone call that I had, the cancer doctor. I immediately left the station and picked up my wife, and we went there and came up with a plan. And it was very humbling because there are a lot of other firefighters that found out that they had cancer, and some were much farther along, and I've even lost a few friends due to it. So there was a little bit of maybe like kind of like lack of a better term, maybe like some survivor kind of thing. Like, well, I was very fortunate they caught mine very early. I was able to, get it treated, and now it's 2 months cancer free, which I feel very blessed to say that. But other guys, haven't had that luxury. In fact, there was a Phoenix firefighter who had the exact same cancer I had. The only difference was they caught his much later, and he unfortunately didn't make it. So really drove a new purpose in myself to want to be able to help and get the word out about, firefighter screenings, the importance of it, why, you should go get screened, why these grants should be more readily available, why cities should, take on these programs. So for my 2-year cancer clinic that caught my cancer, that only works with predominantly works with firefighters, they wanted to create a movie or like a little video that they could send to other departments nationwide to getting the word out about the screenings and the importance of it and the grants. And so they offered me to have a small role in that, which I was very happy to take that on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we'd love to get that link to pass it on, because I think this is one of the beauties of these platforms is, most people are very grateful for first responders, especially when they need them. But even day to day, when you think about the gratitude, whether it's at a ball game or in the community, most people are very grateful, but not from the perspective of the second order consequences of things that may show up even after your career's over. So just getting your mindset around the gratitude for that first responder over the entire course of the career, I think is super enlightening for the audience. So we'd love to pass that along and include it in the show notes. I guess from that perspective, how did it, and you're obviously have incorporated that into the business now. It's awesome about the proceeds and keeping that life of alignment. What's kind of your ongoing relationship with it besides just the business? Are there events that you're doing, or what kind of other involvement is there with that organization?
Yeah. So the 100 Club, you're more welcome to check out, but it is constantly putting on different events within the community to raise money, raise awareness, to help with, first responders, and their family members. So that's a wonderful organization. They're constantly putting on different events. And then another one that we partner with is AZFRF, which is Arizona First Responder Foundation. It's another great, wonderful organization that we love to sponsor with, that is always bringing events together. They're always looking for sponsors, and just trying to really bring awareness to mental health, cancer screenings, all different things within the first responder, world, so to speak. So two great organizations we love to partner with, sponsor with, and do a lot of great and good within the community.
That's awesome, man. So you had one of your team members come in. I can't remember her name, but she came in and she spoke really highly of you. And so I got to ask, so basically, like, you pour into your team. You seem like a very unselfish dude. You pour into their success, their goals, their career, their life, whatever they need. It seems like you're the guy that's going to be there to support them and help them. Is that something that you've always had, or is that something that you kind of learned to develop as you went through some of these, health scares and trials and tribulations in your own life, where I've had these humbling experiences and it's not about me and it's about others? And, is that something that you were born with, or is that something that was developed over time?
So for me, again, let's go back to childhood a little bit here. Growing up, raised by a single mother, woman, worked harder than anybody I know, hardest worker I've ever met. It never really showed. She was tough, just, resilient, smiles, good attitude, just giving individual, huge impact on my life. But I do remember one particular day where she went to the mailbox. She had a family member that passed away, and there was supposed to be some type of check or something there, part of the trust or the will, and it wasn't there. And I just remember, keep in mind, I'd never seen her look defeated or anything like that. That was like the first time I ever remember seeing her defeated and in tears in that moment. And I remember that feeling and just like what that felt like in that moment. And I said, okay, I'm going to make every minute that I have to make sure that everything that this woman's sacrificing for me does not go in vain. One. And two, I want to be able to provide similar opportunities. When obviously I started the business, I wanted to be able to provide similar opportunities for my staff as well, to where they can flourish and grow within their part of the business.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's the epitome of a leader, right? Is leading from the front, and really just listening to your squad and understanding where they're at and meeting them where they're at and guiding them through that development, and and being their biggest cheerleader and saying, hey, I got you. But at the same time, you also have to, I would imagine there's some corrections and some things you've got to hold people accountable that people don't always love. They don't love the accountability piece. But we've all got a job to do. We've all got a business to run and a vision to achieve. And so, you got to row the ship the same way, same direction at the same time. It's not always easy. You make it sound easy, but we both know it's not always that easy.
We use the,
kudos to you.
EOS system. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Gino Wickman wrote that book.
Yep, Traction. So we do the level 10 meetings, every Tuesday, 8:00. If you call me, I won't answer because we're in our meeting. And we have data, part of the meeting that's based on data, right? And each of my leaders have their own color that is related to what their data numbers, what a reflection of essentially their data numbers. So it is an accountability piece, but the way that we structure their compensation and their pay is as those numbers hit their benchmarks, they're rewarded for that, so to speak. But that builds a kind of a sense of pride and allows for that opportunity for them to kind of be kind of entrepreneurs within our organization, right? So they're in charge of this particular part of our business. And obviously, if they succeed, we succeed, of course, but it just really ultimately provides them that opportunity, which, to go back to the childhood analogy, is I know what it's like to not feel like I have any opportunity or anything like that. And I don't want other people to feel that same way. So fast forward, it's incredibly rewarding intrinsically to be able to provide opportunity for my team and my leaders.
We talk a lot about on the podcast about alignment and trying to show up everywhere with authenticity. And it sounds like you've designed your life in a way that it all has intertwined and made you who you are. How has that kind of shaped, I guess, it doesn't even have to be after the remission news. I would like to hear about that, though. But are there any things that have changed since then that tie it all back into childhood that's changed how you operate and lead the business from your teams? Besides EOS, more from a kind of character and how you operate day to day from a personality?
Yeah. So, well, first to go back to the remission part. So after being cleared and everything, I decided to retire from the fire department. It was a long process, but I was able to officially retire in 2024, which allowed me to be all in on the business. So before that time, I was running calls and, up multiple times a night, get off, go try to run a business on a couple hours of sleep, and also try to be a dad.
Holy shit, dude. I did not know that. You were doing both at the same time for the first 6 years, 7 years of this thing.
Yeah.
Wow,
it was killing me, literally. Dude, I did that.
Yeah, I bet.
So, the dark joke. So I was doing both at the same time and still trying to be a dad. And it was just destroying me. So, we finally made the decision of, okay, I'm going to, retire from the fire department and, process my retirement and stuff, and then continue down the road of the business so I could be home every night with my family, just focus on that. One thing I learned from the fire department was how structured and organized, very paramilitary, and so much so that you could have a fire in a city where 3 other cities are at that fire, trucks from all, a couple different cities working it, and they would be able to talk the same lingo, know exactly what's going on, same strategy, and just very organized, step-by-step organization as a whole. Learning that and coming from that world, I wanted to implement a lot of that into our business with proper systems and documentations and processes, making sure our team is speaking the same language, making sure that everything is documented, where they can find these documents, how to properly onboard somebody and hire them and what that looks like, making sure we're hiring them to our core values, making sure that they know, what those core values are and how to implement those and what that looks like, making sure we're all speaking basically that same language, so to speak, in our business and our organization. So really took that, this whole past year or so since officially being 100% done with the fire department, and really just trying to build out a well-organized machine, which is definitely not easy and definitely meets.
Yeah, but you've done it before. So replicating that into your business probably has been crucial.
It has. And to be honest, there was some, a little bit of pushback just because it's change and kind of, well, what were we doing wrong before? And you kind of had to navigate that. But I can tell you, for every minute I put into really kind of restructuring it to a more well-organized machine, probably bought us 10 minutes of time and dramatically increased revenue and productivity and efficiency. And ultimately, at the end of the day, made our employees happier as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And a lot of times that it's exactly what they need is they need that structure. Like, hey, I need to know what are the tools that I need to have to do my job effectively? And what are the processes in place? And it's like, when you don't have that, you're kind of cowboying it. And we went through that when we were growing our business, cowboying it for a while. And then you get to start as you grow and building some structure and processes and, have some alignment there. Because when you have too many cooks in the kitchen that don't know what they're doing, you're not going to get a very good meal. And so it's having those processes in place. That's the way to do it. And you've got the background experience from being in that career, being in the fire department, to like learn from probably the best type of environment to understand what structure is and how do we get guys and gals in alignment, because it's life or death situations a lot of times. And so obviously in business, we don't typically have life or death, but we need to be able to have those things in place to move in the same direction.
Absolutely.
But well, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing that. I know that I don't know if you caught on the tail end of any of our episodes, but we have a final question that we always ask every guest, and I can't wait to hear yours. But what does success mean to you, Eric?
Yeah. What does success mean to me? Honestly, I thought long and hard about what that might be. And I think for me, success is what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Oh, I love that.
No, that's a good one.
That's a legacy driven answer right there.
We haven't heard that one yet either. That's a great answer.
That is a really good answer.
Oh, okay.
Eric, dude, appreciate you coming on, sharing your story. I know you got a little vulnerable and shared some personal stuff. We appreciate it. Our listeners appreciate it. Most likely someone will hear that and take something from it and implement and learn from it and, in their own lives. So appreciate you for doing that. And so if you are listening to this and you own a home and you need pest control service, I know a guy. Eric, where can people find you? How can they connect with you if there's anything that they may need?
Yeah, so always happy to sit and talk with other leaders and entrepreneurs. You can email me, Eric, at firehousepest.com. I'm happy to sit down with anybody and see how we can grow and help each other out. And then also just wanted to thank you guys again for having me on the show. I'm very humbled. You guys run a great show, trying to do a lot of great within our community of leaders and organizations. Thank you guys for what you guys do, and thank you for the opportunity.
It's great to meet you, Eric. Look forward to meeting you in person sometime soon. And thanks again. We'll be back at you next week on the SuccessFlow podcast, and we'll link in the show notes Eric's information.
All right, see you guys.